Welcome to the Money Insights Podcast, where high-income earners come to learn wealth-building strategies that will take them from high income to high net worth. With your hosts, financial and wealth-building experts, Christian Allen and Rod Zabriskie.
Okay, welcome into today's live webinar. Man, I've been super excited about this. I'm Christian Allen, CEO of Money Insights. You guys know Rod the Pod Zabriskie. We're especially excited to have Shashank Shekhar with us. Like I said, I have been super excited to do this meeting. It's been one of those months where it just turned into like the AI month. It didn't end up, we didn't mean for it to be, but like we just have had a lot of like good engagement and excitement around AI. So anyway, anybody that knows me knows that I've been super excited about it. I have a close relationship with my ChatGPT Jarvis, and it's just made a world of difference in the way that we're able to like create content. And I know that I'm just like scratching the surface of that. So anyway, all that said, we're excited to have Shashank. Before we turn it over to Shashank to talk, why don't Rod just talk about some of the highlights that Shashank's accomplished before we turn that over?
Yeah, well, we've really highlighted AI, and again, that's the topic, so that's why. But Shashank has really made his fortune in the mortgage business, and what I was maybe shocked to realize was that he started it all during the Great Recession. So that
crazy
like
story.
What you could say the worst time to try to get a mortgage empire going, and yet he did it. And so I think that speaks volumes about him and just his savvy. But then being the forever innovator, it just naturally rolled into AI and what he's doing now in his business and the kinds of things he's going to teach us about how we can use those principles in our own lives and our own businesses. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I felt like that would be a really good kind of foundation piece to introduce Shashank.
Okay, Shashank. So here's the deal. You have an incredible story. I hope that you'll weave some of it in or just tell the audience a little bit about your story. Rod obviously touched on it a tiny bit, but your story really is inspiring, and your mortgage company, one of the fastest growing in the country, like really incredible story. Shashank, we're super excited. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Christian and Rod. And you were saying this is turning out to be the AI month. I get a feeling this is going to turn out the AI decade, if not the century.
Right.
So
I think you're right.
It's a good thing that it's turning out to be AI month. First of all, thank you, both of you, for inviting me to do this webinar. I love doing it live. So any questions, comments, anything that you think about while I'm talking, feel free to put it in the chat. Would love to engage either between sections or towards the end of it. And if I'm not able to, feel free to send an email to Christian and Rod, and I'll be happy to respond if there is an answer that I don't know. But one thing that I'm super excited about today is that I'm actually not going to talk a lot about principles of AI. A lot of people, if you're on this call, you probably already know what I said before was that this could turn out to be an AI decade. And you probably understand the power of AI, so to say, even if you've just been using ChatGPT, even if Christian, as he said, he's only scratching the surface, which I know he's not. He's being very humble when he's saying that because he's doing pretty cool stuff with that. But my goal here is to take it beyond principles, take it beyond just theory, so to say, because that's what you hear on most of AI calls, how powerful it is and how it has the potential to change the world and your business. But we see very little of how it is actually changing people's business. And so that's where hopefully I come in the next, say, 45 minutes. My goal is to show you how we are using AI internally at InstaMortgage and some of the other businesses that we consult to with my AI company. But just a quick break and rewind maybe, as Rod mentioned, I have a slightly different story. I don't know if it's a cool one or not, but 2008, I was 18 months in the country. So I was very new to the country back then. I had $1,900 in savings. And I actually got transferred from a company. I was working in India as the head of business. So it was this hotshot VC funded company. And they shut down in 2008, as most financial services company did. Especially we had some exposure to the mortgage business then. And as probably just naive and stupid I was back then, I thought opening a mortgage company will be a great idea in 2008 when I had no capital, no connections. I literally knew 3 people in the entire country back then. 3 people. And those 3 people were the co-workers from the company that just shut down. So I had no relatives, no friends, and I got into mortgage business. So yeah, if I was able to make it through that kind of a headwind, then anything, it's just, I think as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it just gives you the confidence that you can go through anything in life. So it's both a personal and a professional success story that I'm very proud of. Not going to bore you with all the details on what happened, but I bring the same mindset of innovation that I brought to the mortgage business. Christian briefed that we are not just one of the fastest growing mortgage company. We were actually the only one in the history of US to be named on the Deloitte Fast Tech 500, where only the major tech companies make it. In fact, the year that we made it 2 years back, we ranked higher than Zoom and Pinterest and Square. So not just getting ranked on that is a big deal because, as I said, some of the biggest tech names on the planet get named to that list, but actually ranking higher than those people was almost surreal. So hope that just gives you some context and probably lends some credibility on what I'm going to do. But really what I'm passionate about AI specifically is not so much about a lot of doomsday talk about AI replacing humans, but I'm in the AI coach business, so to say. I see AI as a coach for enhancing human capabilities. And that's what we are doing. And as such, I'm writing a book called The AI Coach, which all of you will hopefully have access to in about a couple of months. It just went into editing right now. Also just launched a course, which is on the wait list called The AI Coach. I'll give you guys an opportunity to sign up for that. It's just on the wait list, so don't get your wallets out. It's completely free. All I need is just email. But let's focus on the AI. So even though I said I'm not going to talk about principles of AI and potential of AI, there's one reel I want to show you. It's only about 90 seconds. I recorded this right after I got off the stage at HousingWire AI Summit. That was the first national AI summit that HousingWire did. And so I want you to see this reel just from my perspective of how powerful I think AI could be. And then I'll get into all the tools that I promised that I will. So on that note, let me share my screen here and we will dive right into it. So on my Instagram, the handle for which is the AI Coach, if you want to follow me. But this is the video that I recorded. I'm going to play it so you guys can watch it. Sorry, let me unmute it. And
The smartphones.
Let me start from the beginning. It's starting from the middle.
So Uber happened because of smartphones. The smartphones happened because there was GPS, which was enabled because we had satellites. Satellites happened because of rockets, which happened because of combustion engine. And all of this happened because we invented and discovered language and fire. But it took us 200,000 years to go from language and fire to Uber. If you think AI is at the language and fire level today, it will get to the Uber level in 20 years. Imagine. 200,000 years to 20 years. And I say this is because every foundational technology in human history, think from pickaxes to plows, or pottery to photography, or planes to phones, they have all followed one immutable law, which is they become cheaper, they become faster, and then it proliferates everywhere. And a new technology today does that way faster than every technology before that. So Uber happened because
So that's a video I wanted to share just in terms of understanding human evolution, and especially technology evolution, on how much time it has taken for us to move from, say, fire. I mean, fire was, of course, was done almost 1 million years back, but from that to where we are right now and what AI is capable of. So just my 90-second sense, so to say, in showing where I think what the capability lies. But I'm going to talk about 3 tools today, which are not your common tools, even though I'll be using ChatGPT for showing some of these things. But I'm not going to show you things that you typically do with ChatGPT, which is maybe write a blog post for you, or you have written something you want ChatGPT to make it better. I'm sure all of you are probably already good at it. And if not, you are definitely improving on it. And if not, I'm sure you have watched other webinars where they teach you to do that. So my goal here is to show you 3 things that I'm using almost on a daily basis, or my business is using on a daily basis. And hopefully you have not seen some of those things. So the first thing that I want to show you is video creation. So I'm going to show you 2 videos to begin with, and then we will kind of deconstruct it and show you how we have reached there. So one is a quick video that I'm going to show you again on Instagram here. And then we will jump to Vimeo and show you another video. So let me maybe pick this one here, right here, and play this one.
Want to increase your credit score? Don't make these mistakes. Number 1. Don't pay off collections immediately. If you pay, it may get marked as recently paid, which could lower your score. Instead, negotiate with the collection agency to have it deleted. Number 2, don't.
Let's watch another one. This is on Vimeo. So this is a weekly housing headlines that we created in InstaMortgage, my mortgage company, and we send out to the entire database. So, and I'm not going to play the entire 2.5 minutes video that we usually create.
To CoreLogic's Home Price Index, U.S. home prices are projected to increase by 4.1% from December 2024 to December 2025. While the Northeast is experiencing strong growth, some areas like Provo, Utah, are at risk of price declines. Factors such as proposed tariffs on imports and recent wildfires in Los Angeles County. To Mortgage News Daily, the 30-year FHA rate was 6.39%, while the 30-year VA rate was 6.41%, which is up 0.05% from last week's average. And that rounds up the weekly edition of Housing News brought to you by InstaMortgage. If you or someone you know.
So what we used to do before was our loan officers used to send emails of weekly housing headlines, mortgage rates update, whatever you call it. And it was a paid subscription that a company sells, and it was as boring as it gets. I mean, even I would not read it. It was in text format, talked about economy, about treasuries, the stuff that regular borrowers don't even care about. Our open rate was abysmal. I mean, very low single digit on this. And then we created this, which is, of course, you would have guessed it's part of it is AI created, and we will deconstruct it in a while. And we're looking at 28 to 32% open rates on this. So much so that we did not do it for a week, and a lot of our clients came back and said, "Did we stop doing it?" Because they found it way more interesting to consume the housing headlines in a format like this. First, a video format. So I'm not even putting AI here. Just the fact that we went from text to video made it way more interesting. And two, the reason why I'm harping on AI is because our work on creating, so I don't have to be in front of the camera, say, every week doing this. And the platform that we are using to do this is, let's jump on that and see. So HeyGen is what we are using. I'm going to close these two windows. And I'm not sure if you've either heard of it or have used HeyGen. There are two things about HeyGen that I really like. One is that all their avatars are actually real humans. What that means is that they brought these people into the studio. They recorded several minutes of their recording. So their face, their gestures, their voice sounds like human because it is human. So they did not just create these avatars out of AI. They are actually, all their avatars are actually human who came to the studio and recorded themselves. So that's something I like. The second thing what I like about them is when I go to create video, they allow you to create your own avatars. So when you saw the Instagram video that was talking about me improving your credit score, that wasn't actually me creating that video. I did not shoot that video. That video was created through an AI avatar of mine that was created. So the way HeyGen works is that if you go to create, you can click on avatar video here. Maybe go with portrait. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Most people are probably doing portrait videos these days because of reels and shorts and everything else. And once you get here, you could have created your own avatar. So I have two, one which is vertical for reels and shorts, and one which is horizontal, which is for slightly longer form content. Or you could pick one of the AI avatars that they have. Sorry, let me go back. Maybe pick landscape here. And they have hundreds of them. And the easy part about creating the avatar, your own avatar, is that it's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to create a new avatar right now, but all you have to do is record yourself for about 2 to 3 minutes of video. You can do it on your phone. You can have very high-powered camera. Does not really matter how you record it. And you upload it to HeyGen, and then a few hours later, you have your own avatar that can now create your video. So your voice is cloned, your face, your gestures are cloned. So it's like you are creating a video, and even though you're not creating one, so you don't have to be. So let's say we are creating a new video, and I'm going to just pick one of the avatars here. I'm not going to create it with my own avatar right now. And I can pick any of her outfits. Let's say we go with this. And all you have to do is really, it's as straightforward as you drop the script here and the entire video is created. So you pick your avatar, which could be you yourself or one of the avatars here. So for example, our housing headline is created by Rachel, which is the AI spokesperson for InstaMortgage, or a lot of Instagram videos, at least some of them are created by my own avatar. So I'm going to delete the script they have. I'm going to jump to New York Times here and maybe just pick one of the latest news here. So I'm just going to copy this. By the way, the longer the script is, the longer it takes HeyGen to create a video. So I'm going to maybe not make, this is actually pretty big. So hopefully it'll be, and we will, by the way, come back to it because we don't just want to stay here and stare at the screen while this video is being created. So it's pretty long, but let's see how it turns out. And then you can do it in the original accent, which you can listen to right here. Take a second. It's a much longer script. I should have taken a slightly shorter script, but let's see.
The tariffs on cars and auto parts that President Trump announced on Wednesday.
So slightly British accent, that's what it sounds like. So I can go with the original accent, or I can choose English US in this case. I can choose any of the countries, really. So if you're marketing to, I don't know, Philippines, you're marketing to Kenya, you're marketing to Ireland, you can pick the accents. The language will still remain English, but it'll just change the accent to the country that you pick. So that's a brilliant feature, by the way, because as we all know, people of different countries speak the same language with different accent, and it's just more relatability if you're using their own accent in their videos. Also, you can completely change the language itself. So you can just translate the script to any language, and I think they support about 70 different languages. So sitting in US, you could be creating content in Mandarin, you could be creating content in Korean, you could be creating content in Hindi, you could be creating content either with the accent of that country, but in English, or their language itself, which is amazing. Incredible. Is because you don't have to learn any of that stuff. So I'll leave it here and I'm going to submit, because all it takes is really, you just say new, you pick the avatar, you drop your script. And by the way, they have ChatGPT integration for a script writer if you want ChatGPT to write it. But I typically write my own scripts or whatever, and I'm going to submit it. I'm just going to say tariff video right now, just to name it. I can leave it untitled if I want to, really not a big deal. And I'm going to submit it. And it's probably going to take about 10 minutes. So I'm going to jump off HeyGen and we will look at a couple of other tools. And then at the end, when we have last 10, 15 minutes, we'll go back and see how did the video turn out. But I'll take a pause on that just for what I've covered so far and how HeyGen creates video. It gives you two options: either use one of their avatars, and that's how we have created our spokesperson, or you can clone yourself, both your voice and yourself and your gestures, and you could be creating dozens of content without you actually shooting. All you have to do is just drop a script and the video gets created. So that's pretty cool from a video content perspective. Any comments or thoughts there before?
Hey, Shashank, quick question. Are there any other companies or any other tools that you would consider, or is HeyGen kind of the best of what is doing video right now from your perspective?
Yeah, the reason why, as I think I mentioned that in the beginning, the reason why I like HeyGen is because, first of all, they were probably the first company that had real human, I should not say call them models, because they're not models, they're just people. And they, in fact, recently they just crowdsourced it. So even like I could be one of the person who could be an avatar for anyone else to pick me as one of their avatars. So there are lots of their own customers now have their avatar for public use, which you and I can use if we want to just say pick boy next door or girl next door kind of a look, if that's what we were going for. But that's one reason why I like it. The second thing is that we have been using HeyGen now for about 7-8 months. And I'm really impressed by the upgrades that they bring practically every month. The company is now almost $93 million in funding, probably the most funded AI video creation company right now in the country. And so just because of the money muscle that they have, the funding they have been able to churn out upgrades very, very fast. In fact, the most recent upgrade that we are currently working on is not just creating your avatar to create videos, but creating your clone that can be trained on everything that you know. So all my learning, I can train my avatar so it can know all about mortgages, it can know all about AI. And you can interact with me, my avatar on my website, just like you would interact with me. So if I'm not available and if you have, say, a mortgage consultation or an AI consultation, my avatar can speak as well in most cases as I would be able to. So that's, again, that's taking your cloning to a
Powerful.
completely different level from a power perspective. I know, of course, we are in a regulated business. You guys are in a regulated business. So we have to be careful about regulation. And I'm not getting into that because that's a different topic altogether. But keeping that aside, it just creates a huge amount of just a scaling ability to have you like 10 people can be on website, all 10 chatting to you, supposedly
That's
giving that answer. And the funny thing is that I created Rachel, mortgage industry's first video digital assistant in 2010. That was the first in the world. And that's what my hope was, that Rachel one day will be able to do it. And then the AI happened in 2023 and 2024. I was doing a lot of those things manually in the back end, but now there is a power of AI that makes it possible. So yeah, a huge amount of a scaling opportunity that it gives you, especially if you're a personal brand. I mean, if you're selling as one person loan officer, one person real estate agent, one person insurance agent, because people do business because of you and not so much because of everything else, the ability for you to be able to be there in multiple places at once. And of course, you could be totally open. Hey, this is my AI avatar. You can exchange. You can talk to him, and then if you still have more questions, it's like what we used to do before, which was you would send email to someone saying, hey, these are the answers to your question, go through it. I started blogging in 2009, I was one of the first mortgage bloggers. And one of the things that I would do, Christian, to save time when I became one of the top 15, say, loan officers in the country is I would direct them to a blog post that I wrote. So I would not say, get every client on the phone and say, hey, read through the blog post. And if you still have any questions, we can get on the phone. What it did was they will probably get 8 out of their 10 questions answered anyway. And then for the other 2 questions, it will save me my time, but it will still give them the same experience. And think of this as probably replacing an experience like that before. Now you can go and consult with my AI avatar, and I'm sure you will still have questions, and you and I can talk with the real me, so to say, not the AI me. So it's not just that when you look at a certain tool, just think of it as what the tool does. You have to think of a strategy that will work for that tool to work. Is because I wasn't, say, for example, the only blogger, but how did I go from, as I said, knowing no one in the US to becoming one of the top 15 loan officers in the country 7 years, while there were other bloggers who were not even, say, in the top 500 at that point in time? Is because creating a tool is one thing, but what do you do with that tool is a completely different thing. And that's something that the more you know about your business, the more you know about your client experience, you will be able to figure out how does this new tool fit into that experience. And that's what we're trying to do here. Hopefully
well,
that,
and that makes complete sense. One of the things we know is that people are eating up video, right? Especially short video stuff.
exactly.
And so to the extent that you can, like you said, basically duplicate your knowledge and efforts and get to more people, it just creates this like really incredible opportunity to scale. So super cool. And I
Yeah.
really like that example, simple but powerful example of just dramatically increasing the email open rates by
Yeah.
creating and putting that video in there. And again, like once you created the
Template.
AI, yeah, like it
Yeah.
wasn't that difficult.
It's
So
not.
that's incredibly powerful stuff.
Yeah, because we have been thinking about doing weekly updates via videos for, I don't know, years. And it was like, oh, you need to have the right lights and the camera and this and that, and somebody needs to be in front. And then like it never happened. Like, so we stuck to what we could do best, but now you could scale it. So yeah, that's a great point. Okay. The second thing that I want to
Sorry,
talk about.
Shashank.
Yes.
Really quickly, we had a question that came in while we're on this HeyGen topic, and he's asking, when you're creating a personal avatar, how much content does it need? If we're talking about like hours or minutes, and maybe it depends on
3 minutes.
Okay, so 3 minutes to get the visual, Then
Yes.
you mentioned it can start to speak like you and
Okay,
have
so
your
okay, so
knowledge
we're
base.
okay. So sorry, I did not. So there are two different things we are talking about. One, to create avatar, just to create videos, and for that it's 3 minutes. You can use your phone. I mean, iPhones are extremely powerful in terms of camera these days, and that's how I have done it. The vertical video that you see there was shot on iPhone. You showed it for 3 minutes. One thing you have to be careful about is don't use a lot of hand gestures, because AI then is not able to say match your current gesture with the words that you're saying in the script. So minimal hand gestures work great, and use kind of regular hand gestures versus stuff that you will very rarely use, because then it gets confused into doing that. I use a lot of hand gestures when I'm speaking, but when you're recording, you have to kind of tone yourself down in that. So that's on if you're trying to clone yourself to do more videos. Rod, what you're asking, or what our audience here is asking, is that if you want to create something that can, say, answer on your behalf or talk to your clients on your behalf, that's not through video recording. That comes through text knowledge base. So the video recording is still the same. You record yourself for 3-5 minutes maybe, but then HeyGen gives you almost like a box. It's a long box. They now allow even documents, and you can upload anything and everything there. Mostly text-based that you can do. So you can say, hey, Shashank Shekhar, you are the founder of InstaMortgage. It's one of the fastest growing mortgage company. You consult your clients about the best way to get mortgages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you are teaching that persona, so to say, or the AI persona, on who you are, what your expertise looks like. And then you can put questions and answer. How do I get pre-approved? This is how you get pre-approved. How do you do this? This is how you do it. So when someone is asking, and by the way, I've been doing this for 16, 17 years, as the mortgage side, AI for 2 years now. I kind of know what my clients ask, right? I mean, most people know. I mean, you've been doing this for 3-4 years. You would probably know that you can predict 80% of the questions in a client consultation, right? That's how my blogs were so good, is because I knew exactly what information they are looking for, because I wasn't just a blogger. I was actually a mortgage broker. So I knew so I wasn't just thinking it from a writer perspective. I was thinking from somebody who actually interacts with clients on a daily basis. So when you know that, you are able to create better content, because I'm not just a content creator. I'm actually engaging with them on a daily basis. I know what questions they ask. So if you know that, you can do it in 20/80 or 80/20 rule, whatever you call it, which is, if you know that 80% of questions are these 2 questions or 10 questions or 5 questions that takes 80% of client consultation, feed your persona with all that knowledge base. And that's where you're like, okay. And I mean, these days people will find it cool, if nothing else. They say, oh, wow, that guy speaks just like you. So to say,
Yeah.
and is able to answer most of
exactly.
the questions. And that will be great. And fully knowing that it's an AI avatar, of course, we are not trying to hide that information. But it also shows you that you are probably ahead of the curve from a technology perspective. And at least my clients really like the fact that we are ahead and we are trying to embrace something which is new. And hopefully your clients do that as well. So that's basically there's difference in terms of what you're trying to create. Very cool. So let's now get to ChatGPT. And there were a couple of things that I wanted to talk about there is, so one of the things that we do with ChatGPT typically, and you can do it with Claude or Gemini. I've been using a lot of Claude recently for my book project that I'm doing, and I'm pretty impressed actually by the long form content that Claude generates. But irrespective what platform you use, is we usually use ChatGPT or any of the large language models for transactional answers, right? Like we wrote something and say, make this better, or create a better title for this webinar. I mean, this webinar's title, by the way, was created by an AI. So you can do all of that stuff. But what I'm more interested in, or what I like more from large language model, is its capability of creating from strategy to plans to tactics to actual real content. So the way I see ChatGPT doing 10x, 20x, 100x better job for you is if you treated it as a wing-to-wing, say, content generator. And by that, what I mean is you go from the start. So you are somebody, and I'm going to take a real estate example here. If you want me to take something else, that's fine. But what I'm going to show you now is the way I have used ChatGPT now for a very long time, which is not just saying, write me a blog post or fix this thing or create a better title. All of that is, by the way, a great idea. If you're posting something, you want a quick answer, do that. but really to form a very powerful strategy. So say I'm a real estate agent in Las Vegas. I typed this prompt before we got started. I would like to start with research first. So not jumping to content creation yet, not even jumping to, say, my calendar, social media calendar. I want to start at a very top level. And of course, I can use deep research method, but that takes slightly longer. So let's stick to the basic model here. And so what I'm doing is that I'm being naive here and saying that I don't even know what content my audience wants to read, right? So let me not just guess that this is the blog I want to create, or this is the video I want to do, and then you do it and it falls flat, is because maybe the audience did not want that. So I'm going to the basics here, using it for more research first before I jump into doing something else. So I'm saying, okay, in Las Vegas, first-time home buyers often have a specific interest searching in these things. They're looking at affordable pricing, good location, safe neighborhood, property size, layout, modern. Okay, so this is great. Now, what are the top 10 questions they are searching on the web, right? Sorry, the AI fixed that. And so now I first realized that, okay, these are the things they're interested in. These are the questions they are asking. This is real-time data, by the way. So this is a powerful beginning to your strategy session with yourself or with ChatGPT in this case. Now I have figured out, okay, these are the questions they are possibly asking. So now what I'll do is that, okay, so this is great. I know what their preference is, what they're searching for. And so now what I'm going to do is say, okay, I want to create a 30-day blitz on, I don't know, blogs, videos, Facebook, and Instagram. Maybe those are the platforms you are active on, want to be active on, and create a 30-day content calendar. So it's not a social media calendar, with at least one piece of content published every day, right? And so imagine if you are new to the market for any business. I mean, I use real estate agent example here. First, it gave you what are the preferences of your audience in that market. Second, it told you what is that audience searching for. Third, now you want to be known by everyone in that market. Let's say that it could be a 30-day blitz, which is probably ambitious, but let's say it's 60 or 90 or 120, depending on what kind of competition you are up against. So I did 30 here, but let's stick with 30. And I could have, by the way, asked that I want to publish, because it's a blitz, I want to publish maybe 3 pieces of content every day, not just one, right? I could have been super ambitious and said I could do that. These are just examples. Just think of the way you will implement it. So ChatGPT has its own idea: blog, video, Instagram, Facebook, back to blog, and then Instagram post and video. Ideally, I would probably want 2 or 3 pieces of content every day. But now I have a much better strategy, right? I went from research to a strategy, so to say, which is I want to create 30-day blitz, to giving me some kind of plan that this is what your plan should look like. But of course, I don't have time to write a blog on day 1 and video on day 2 and Instagram post on day 3 and do all of that, right? So now I get into what? My act number 3, which is to get down to the brass tactics here and figure out how to do that. So I said, I really like the day 1 blog idea. Make it highly customized, customized to Vegas. Sorry, I'll fix that later. And write 600 plus words post. And so the ultimate guide to buying your first home in Las Vegas. And what you will see here is that it uses a lot of local references. So this is not a generic content. So it really depends on how you're prompting it. Is because I said, make it highly customized to Vegas. And of course, I got the spelling wrong there. But you said areas like Summerlin and Henderson and North Las Vegas are seeing a lot of interest due to their community amenities. The down payment typically needs to be 3 to 20%. Downtown Las Vegas has been undergoing revitalization. The funny thing is that we are actually a preferred lender for a revitalization project that Las Vegas is currently doing. So we know that's actually happening. It's not just making up that information. And then it goes into the home buying process, maximizing an investment, research. One of the, by the way, a hack, so to say, is in terms of content creation that I have observed over the last, say, month or two, is that if you want something customized, so some of the people are like, it's not giving my voice the way I would like it. So this sounds pretty Las Vegas-like, but one of the hack that I've realized in the recent days is that give it a prompt to act like something. Like I was doing a webinar for agents in Miami and said, make it sound like Miami. And it sounded pretty much like Miami. But what it does even better is that you do a follow-up prompt and say, make it sound even more like Miami. When you do that, then it's forced to think again. And then when it created content, their jaw dropped. They were like, it's using the slangs, it's using the words that we use in Miami. So this was like, so this is pretty Las Vegas in terms of general stuff. But if I were to force it and say, use the language used by people in Las Vegas, like use the slangs, use something, it'll create even more local flavor to it. So try that next time, is that when you give a prompt, let it create what it creates and then say, do even more of it. Like, for example, a touch of humor. If you don't like it, say, add a little bit more touch of humor, for example, and you will see the second output is because it makes it think even harder, because it has already thought. It's like we sometimes would go to conferences, they're like, raise your hand as high as you can, and then can you raise it even more? Of course you can. And they will be like, oh, why didn't you raise it the highest you could the first time? Is because, I mean, you were probably not under that much pressure to raise it in the first time. And that's typically how large language model behaves, right? So, and then you can go on and basically do the same thing for every single day. You can create content, you can tweak content, you can do whatever you want with it. And now all you have to do is just copy and paste and publish it. And people will see you everywhere, right? They're reading your blogs, they're reading your videos. And then if someone comments on it, you can go back to ChatGPT and now create a follow-up campaign with it. So this is just to create the blitz. Now you say, okay, 5 people commented on your Facebook post. How do you respond to that? How do you create email marketing to influence for them to use you as a real estate agent, to use you as a financial planner? So you can go on and on and on. So what I'm basically boiling this strategy down to is that don't just focus on one task at a time. ChatGPT does a great job of that, and practically everyone has used ChatGPT for doing a single task. Think of it as a much bigger, like sitting with your marketing team. Let's say you say, we need a 3-month marketing plan. And start using from there. What are the top keywords they're searching for? What are their preferences? Who are my competition? All of that. And then start building a strategy. Then start building your content calendar. Then start building your content. And some of the content won't be perfect. That's, of course, it's large language model. It's trained on millions of data sets, so it may not be perfect. But treat that as first draft, make your team edit it, and then publish it. But that's what you should be doing, is because all of this is about scaling, right? You are a solopreneur, or if you run a small company, for me, again, it's scaling. It's so important. I mean, I did not have that access when I was blogging. I used to, of course, spend 3 hours to write one blog post, which I can now potentially write in 15, because ChatGPT will create the first draft and all I have to do is edit, put my voice into it, whatever, maybe throw my CTAs, and that blog post will be ready. So it's a change in mindset a little bit of treating large language models like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini as a task assistant versus creating an entire campaign kind of a thing. You could throw in press releases, you can throw in all of that stuff, and then it becomes very, very powerful and extremely time saving versus saving 2 minutes or 5 minutes here. Now you're saving tens and tens and tens of hours and creating something where you are perpetually ubiquitous on online platforms where you want to be seen at all points in time. So hopefully that makes sense. Any questions on that before I get into the last tool that I want to discuss?
I'll just a quick comment. Like
Mhm.
the thing that I took out of it, Shashank, is like, it's pretty wild that you can use that tool. It can it not only can tell you what to do and how to do it, it can then do it for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like full circle if
Yeah.
you allow it to work and kind of create. So to me, it's just like, there's never been, a more powerful tool for somebody who wants to to build and scale a business than what we have available now with AI.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife is a CMO of a sustainability company, and the other day she was having a call with her team, and I was just in the kitchen listening to the call or something. And after 50 minutes or something, she gets done with the call, and I go to her and tell her that where you just spent your 50 minutes, I could have done that in 5, and I don't even know your business. Is because
I'm sure she loved that, Shashank.
I mean, her team was doing it, but I mean, she was the one
Yeah.
leading it. I was like, this could have been done in 5 if your team was really trained on how to use AI for something like this. And that's the part, and that's what I'm saying is that after a long period of time, and I'm probably going back to the principles a little bit, is that it's a huge leveling field for smaller companies, for challenger brands, for solopreneurs, is that you are able to compete with the bigger players now because of what AI is capable of for $20 a month, right? ChatGPT is $20 a month. Most AI tools are either free or very inexpensive. So if you had, like I have pro version of Perplexity and Claude and ChatGPT and HeyGen, but even all of that put together is less than $250 a month. And imagine the kind of output that you're able to get. You are, I mean, at par with companies probably 10 times bigger than you, with 5 times bigger marketing team and even sales team, which I'll show you, or even data team, because of the capability of this. So the last tool that I want to show, and then we'll jump back to HeyGen to see the fun stuff of how that video turned out. But this is something which is rarely used, if at all. In fact, I've very rarely seen people talk about it. These are called GPTs. So GPTs are custom tools built inside ChatGPT that serves usually one specific function, and that's it. So InstaMortgage, for example, built its own GPT when GPT came out. We were the first mortgage company in the world to build a GPT inside the GPT store. So any mortgage-related question, you can go, for example, go to Explore GPTs, search for InstaMortgage, and you can ask any mortgage question. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to show you a tool called, or a GPT called Data Analyst. Now, Data Analyst, by independent verifications, and I have a lot of data scientist friends who are PhDs in data science. All of them believe that data analyst is at least at an undergrad level for people who major in data science. And that's about $80,000 a year in terms of compensation that you will have to pay. So think of this as replacing, or at least augmenting someone, or doing a role of someone who's probably gets paid about $70,000, $80,000 for doing data science. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a chart that this is, because this has no data fields, so this won't know. This is, I think, the S&P performance, S&P index performance. I think that's what it is. Can you point out the top 5 highlights from this data set? So if that's what it is, because it's not named, but let's see what it is. And then we'll get to it. So first of all, it's an annual return from, I think from 1960s or something. So it was able to get to it very, very quickly in terms of understanding. It is the S&P performance data. Okay. It's actually from 1933. So first of all, just imagine being able to take the S&P performance data from 1933 to 2023, I think, and it was able to get this kind of insight to you that quickly. Is that the 3 best years was 1933, which I didn't know, by the way, 1954 and 1935, which was just after the Great Depression. I guess it makes sense. And this was just during the Depression. So, but this is just the basic stuff. Again, my philosophy in using ChatGPT remains, or similar tools remain the same, is that I start very wide, which is, all I asked is, what are the top 5 highlights? And I'm like, okay, I probably know some things that I did not know. Doesn't add much value to my business. I mean, it's great to know this, and this is perfect. Of course, I can see it in a chart, which will be amazing because I can run a code and I can do that. But let's get into more important stuff that I can get from here, right? So this is great. But let's say, can you now project the performance for the next 2 years based on all macro and microeconomic factors that you were aware of. Build 3 different projections: baseline, worst, and best case. Make sense?
Yeah.
And let's see what it does. So it picks the macro trends correctly, perfectly, in fact, on what's going on the geopolitical side, what's going on the tech, where is the labor market, the unemployment is still relatively low, GDP growth is sluggish but stable, inflation cooling closer to Fed targets, we are at about 2.3%. These are the micro factors. This is the projection methodology it has used. Historical average return is about 12.16%, adjusted for moderate growth. Best case, tech-led rally, soft landing, rate cuts, high in historical returns. Worst case, we see recession, earning drops, risk of sentiment. Right? So it projects, that's what it is. Here are the projected S&P returns, baseline, worst case, best case, worst case. Now I can keep digging into it. So I can say, okay, let's take the best case. What are some of the other factors that can make the worst case scenario even worse, or the best case scenario even better? So if the consumer spending drops, if you see a stagflation, if geopolitical tensions escalate, like in Middle East, policy mistakes, credit market freeze, all of that can impact all of this stuff. I can actually keep breaking it down to the level of just talking about tech stocks, just talking about different investments and how will that get impacted. Again, this is not to get market advice from it or investment advice from it. But earlier in the day, I was running an analysis just so you know, in terms of how deep it can potentially predict, is that I ran from a mortgage rate history for the last, say, 70, 80 years, all the way down to projecting a real estate home sales price increase in one zip code of Las Vegas, Nevada. So I go from there to figure out what will change the mortgage history, to what will happen to the national home prices, to what will happen to regional home prices, to what will happen to Nevada home prices, to what will happen to Las Vegas home prices, to what will happen to different zip codes, and what are the factors that really control it. So the end result may or may not be correct because, of course, it's projecting. What is more important in an analysis like this is what you look for is the data that it's using, what data it's using, what kind of valuation technique that it's using, projection methodology that it's using. And you can, by the way, you can completely model it out. It acts like as if it's an economics graduate student. It will be able to model out, can do regression analysis for you. If there are any economics student in the audience, it can run regression analysis. It can run extremely advanced statistical model for you to get to that. And again, the goal is not here, just I was saying in the other ChatGPT, is that the goal is not for you to take all those content and copy and paste it. The goal for you is to treat that as a first draft, so to say. Here too, what you're trying to learn from is that what are the models they're using? How are these models relevant? Based on that, you or your financial planner may have a completely different take on it, but at least you are understanding the basic guiding principles behind it. Data analyst is brilliant for any kind of data. And you saw we took from 1933 to 2023, 90 years of history, and it's able to pull that kind of a data analysis that quickly.
Shashank, quick question. What would you do? What would happen if you tried to ask the same question but didn't do it through the GPT? Is it just not able to get quite as deep?
Yeah. So one of the reasons for creating GPTs was, so just so for the audience to understand, the way large language model works is that large language model is trained on hundreds and hundreds of terabytes of data. That's why they're called large language models. And that's why you and I can't build it. We can build products on top of it. We can't build it is because it takes billions of dollars to build that kind of training. But the problem with building that kind of training is that domain expertise or deep level knowledge of a certain skill, it's not able to pick up. So it may not be able, that's why it's not a replacement for your financial planner. It's not your replacement for your mortgage broker. It's not your replacement for your real estate agent. Is because for those domains, it does not have that deep kind of an expertise. And that's why they launched GPT for individuals like us or developers like us to create on top of ChatGPT, is because now we can go, now we are a mortgage lender. We have been doing it for 2 decades. We know what clients ask. We know what the correct answers are, and we can build that as a GPT. So it's like they built the iPhone, and then we all came and built apps on top of it. So to say, that's what the GPT store was supposed to be. So there are some really, really good GPTs, actually. One is, I think they're called the Negotiator, which trains you how to become a better negotiator. And who does not want to become a better negotiator, right? So you can use that GPT to, this is probably I would say the best kept secret, so to say, is because nobody talks about it, because I guess nobody uses it. But yeah, we haven't just created our own. I really dig into some of the GPTs that are my favorite, but this being really one of the one that completely blows my mind away, is because the level of detail that it can produce is really as good as at least an undergrad of data science, sometimes even a grad or a PhD level, the way it's able to predict stuff.
Okay, so this is super cool. On one side, you can do it, you can use it to get like really dig into the research. And then on the other side, you can actually create a GPT. And how do you use that side of it, Shashank?
Yeah,
the side where it's like you creating your own.
Yeah, so perfect. First of all, it makes you sound really smart, is because now you have all the analysis from there, and now that's what it is. Like somebody said, is that no concept is created original. It's borrowed from someone, right? The person who borrows the best or sounds the smartest is the smartest in the room, so to say. So there's nothing called original ideas, but in a sense it is. But what you can do is that, let's go back to the example where it gave me 3 different examples of where the real estate market can go in a certain zip code in Las Vegas. And if again, continuing with the same example, if I'm a real estate agent in Las Vegas, I can take that data and go back to the ChatGPT content side of it and said, these are the 3 different levels of projections for the real estate market in Las Vegas in the next 2 years. Build me content around it that makes it educational for my audience to see. So now my audience sees me, and not just this person who is trying to push sales to me, but actually giving me 3 different projections. If this is what will happen to GDP, if this is what will happen to inflation, if this is what will happen to mortgage rates, then the Las Vegas market will behave either here, or here, and here are my recommendations based on where the market will move. So I come across as somebody who is educating my client base into all the projections, and I'm seen as an expert, right? The kind of businesses we are in, Christian, UI, and hopefully some of the people in the audience, you get hired for your expertise. I know we are really good looking people, but that's probably besides the point, right? So it's the expertise for which we are hired. And if that's the case, then all of this just makes us look more of an expert. And that's the connection between the 2 platforms, is that if the data analytics side of it gives you the data, gives you the projections, then you feed it back into the regular ChatGPT and then create content around it and publish it, whether it's through videos, whatever your preferred mode of format is.
Okay, so I was going to ask you this. Can you connect your GPT, the one you've created, to video content?
It does not. You'll have to
Create
take that output and then put it back into, but it's on the same platform.
But and at the end of the day, it's just basically feeding it the data. So it's not a big deal, but just curious. Okay.
I like how lazy you're getting with this AI stuff, Christian. Eventually,
like, I'm not going to do anything anymore.
Exactly.
I'm just going to sit back and let me be out there.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. Okay. So to wrap it up, we'll go back, see how our HeyGen video turned out that we tried at the beginning of this webinar, and hopefully it turned out well. And then we are going to wrap this up. So share. This is fine. Let's go back. I think this was the one. Let's play it.
The tariffs on cars and auto parts that President Trump announced on Wednesday will have far-reaching effects on automakers in the United States and abroad. But there will be important differences based on the circumstances of each company. The company run by Mr. Trump's confidant, Elon Musk, makes the cars it sells in the United States in factories in California and Texas. As a result, it is perhaps the least exposed to tariffs. But the company does buy parts from other countries. About a quarter of the components by value in its cars come from abroad, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. In addition, Tesla is struggling with falling sales around the world, in part because Mr. Musk's political activities and statements have turned off moderate and liberal car buyers. Some countries could seek to retaliate against Mr. Trump's tariffs by targeting Tesla. A few Canadian provinces have already stopped offering incentives for purchases of Tesla's electric vehicles.
What I love about this is that it's zero AI voice. It's as natural as it gets. I mean, you do not hear any lag. The lip syncs are perfect, the way the words are spoken. And that's where I love HeyGen, is because this wasn't the experience, say, 3 months or 6 months back. It sounded robotic. The lip sync won't match what they're saying, and so they're improving very, very quickly. They're improving their outputs, and that's something that I really like about HeyGen. And one of the reasons, one of the things that I would really want to point out is that even if you don't like it, even if it's not perfect, you are still getting at ground zero. Do you want to come into this, say, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months later, when HeyGen has launched, I don't know, 5 other features, and now you're trying to figure out the first one that they launched? Because look, even now, I'm already telling you can create your avatar for videos. You can create your clone that can answer questions to your client. You can have a spokesperson that can speak as well as that, which I can guarantee most of us are not able to in front of camera with that kind of conviction and that clear diction, so to say. So you already have a ton of features, which is well ahead of probably 98% of your competition. Do you want to wait another 6 months, 9 months, just because in your head you think it's not perfect? And that's a mistake that most people do with new technologies and new innovations. Like, this is just a fad. Social media was probably once a fad. Internet was once a fad. iPhone was once a fad. And we all know who people who were the early adopters were the ones who ended up as winners. And that's not to say, sometimes you will probably pick the wrong horse, but I mean, AI is something that I would bet on for the reasons that I said before. But really, even if these things are not perfect, which I know they're not perfect because I use them on a daily basis, don't make that as an excuse for not using it, is because the earlier you get into this, the better you will get. And really, it helps you. I mean, the kind of scaling that it allows you to do with just the 3 tools that I was able to show you, I mean, that alone is probably $200,000 of fixed employee expense that you'll have to carry to create all of that stuff that we were talking about. And if you are a small business owner like I am, and that's a lot of money to hire people to do that, which I can do for, say, $200 a month at this point in time. So thank you so much for having me. Really, this was for me. It was fun to do this, is because this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I like to do, and more importantly than the principles and the theories of AI, which I know a lot of you know, I love teaching about real tools, which makes real impact to your day-to-day lives and to your businesses. So hopefully you learned something in today's class that you will be able to go back and implement.
I love it. I love it. And can I just say, this idea that you brought up of being an early adopter, like, you're living proof of it. That's a big part of why you were able to scale your company in a difficult time. I mean, whether it was getting on blogging, AI, like that helps. And from our business, we went digital before our industry had gone digital. It gave us a chance to go national. Like, that was a huge, huge thing for us. So anyway, I guess my encouragement to people is, don't wait, get involved with AI, because it genuinely will have just an incredible impact on business. And then, of course, if you don't do it, you're just going to get left behind anyway. So it kind of is one of those things where you can, get on the horse and go, or, you can get pushed along, because either way, it's kind of coming.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
One final thing is, I just wanted to share my AI Coach Academy that's going to be launched in May. So if you want to get on the early list, join the wait list. Again, there's nothing to pay right now. All you have to do is just put your email here. But that's the AI Coach. It's the URL is slightly different. It's coa.ch. /academy. Just go there, put your email, and when the course comes out, I'll let you know at which point of time you can decide whether this is something for you. But just to give you a sense, it'll probably be priced at less than $100. So whatever you learn now, imagine 50 times that for $90 odd, the kind of efficiency that you can get. But yeah, again, there's no obligation to do that. But if you like what you saw and you want to do that, then we'll probably launch that in May is what the plan is.
Okay, so you obviously you launched and are starting to build InstaAI. We've talked offline about some education platforms that you build. Do you want to just touch on that side of it? Obviously, you have this coaching element. There's certainly people who will watch this and be that own companies, some of them relatively large companies. So maybe just hit on that as another element of what I know you're doing at InstaAI.
Yeah, I'll take less than 5 minutes to do that. But really a lot of, and that's where I started, is that a lot of what I teach is what I practice. In fact, everything that I teach, I practice. So you don't see anything which is just theory or I'm just an AI consultant or something. And what we did is we created our own Gen AI platform when Morgan Stanley launched their financial advisor assistant. We were very ambitious, again, to compare the sizes of Morgan Stanley versus us, but we were still ambitious and we wanted to build something similar for our own loan officers in InstaMortgage. And so what we created is what we call InstaAI. And what it does, and again, this is not a full demo, but Mortgage AI, it has about 4 modules. Mortgage AI takes thousands of pages of content on guidelines and policies. And as you know, mortgage industry has a huge amount of guidelines that we have to follow. And what used to take minutes, even hours for our loan officers and underwriters to research, now is built into the AI, and they're able to get answers in seconds because of the way it's built. Content AI creates unlimited content, but it's trained specifically for the domain we operate in, which is mortgages. And so for some of the clients that we are customized building it, we train it for their domain. So the content is generated, which is specific to their domain, which is the industry they operate in, and also their own business. So this thing is fully trained on everything about InstaMortgage, everything about mortgages. So the content that gets generated is not very generic like ChatGPT, but very, very specific to your business. And one thing which is probably has caught most attention is our Coach AI, where we have built multiple personas of the buyers our loan officers work with. So each of these personas have multiple demographics based on which every persona has been built. So it's taken hundreds of hours of really design work and thinking work to create such detailed personas, which our loan officers can role play with to get better at sales. And then we created Zig, which is the master coach, which is a tribute to Zig Ziglar, which is And Zig, by the way, just doesn't only know things about Zig Ziglar, but we have trained Zig with all the top sales coaches and trainers and speakers of almost last 20, 30 years. So you're getting a master coach which can answer any of your sales question, but you bring all of that expertise to the table. And all of this can be customized to your industry. So if you are thinking about building something like this, that's where I think, Christian, thank you for giving me the nudge to talk about it. We are happy to have that conversation offline where we are talking to multiple different industry verticals and customizing this entire platform for their business and their industry, and something that we can talk about later.
Awesome. I love it. Super cool. We have a bunch of people commenting that their mind's blown, super excited to start using it. Okay, you gave us the call to action, right? And just a reminder, one more final reminder on where they can go to get connected to the coaching program, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, it's the AI coach, the AICOA.ch, and I'll send it to you, Christian. My dog is barking in the background. You can send it to the people here. So
that sounds great. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Shashank, this was awesome. I'm super excited to work together and get more into AI. So thank you for taking the time and being with us.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for listening to the Money Insights podcast. To learn more about the financial and business strategies discussed in this show, please visit moneyinsights.net. The views and opinions expressed on the Money Insights podcast are not intended to be individual financial, tax, or legal advice. Always consult with the appropriate advisor before making financial decisions. And if you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This will help others find the show and learn wealth building strategies for themselves. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.